Stop scrolling. Look closely at these 5 masks. Don't rush. Let your eyes wander over their shapes, their expressions, their very essence. Which one calls to you? Which one feels like a distant echo of something inside you? Don't overthink it. Your first, deepest instinct is a message from your unconscious mind, a whisper from the hidden parts of your soul. Choose the one that pulls you in, even if you don't know why. Got it? Good. Go ahead and comment which mask you pick below. This choice is a key, and in a moment, we're going to use it to unlock a door you might not even know exists. This isn't just some random choice. This is a profound and direct path into the work of the revolutionary psychologist Carl Jung, and one of his most powerful concepts, the persona. The word persona comes from the Latin for the masks worn by ancient actors. Jung used this term to describe the face we present to the world. It's the carefully constructed version of ourselves that we show our boss, our friends, our family, and even ourselves in the mirror. It's the personality we adopt to function in society, a compromise between who we truly are and who the world expects us to be. We all wear one. We have to. It's a necessary tool for navigating the complex web of social interactions. But Jung issued a stark warning. The persona is a tool, not the truth. It is a performance, not the authentic self. And for many of us, we become so identified with the mask that we forget the face underneath. We start to believe that we are the role we are playing. And that's where the danger lies. Because the more we identify with this idealized mask, the more we repress the parts of ourselves that don't fit the script. These disowned parts, our fears, our insecurities, our raw, untamed emotions, don't just disappear. They gather in the darkness, forming what Jung called a shadow, the unconscious, dark side of our personality. So, let's do something a little radical. Drawing from Jung's work, we'll decode what your chosen mask reveals about the face you present to the world, the persona you've so carefully crafted. But more importantly, we're going to try and uncover the secrets it's desperately trying to hide. We'll explore what that mask says about your deepest fears, your most profound desires, and your untapped potential for becoming a whole, authentic human being. Find the section for your chosen mask, and let's begin the journey inward. Section 1, the Guardian Mask. If you were drawn to Guardian Mask, the one forged of stone and steel with a stoic, unyielding expression. You're someone who projects an aura of unshakable strength, stability, and profound reliability. You are the rock in the storm, the calm voice in the chaos. When crisis hits, people don't just look to you, they run to you. You are the dependable friend, the responsible colleague, the protective family member who can always be counted on to hold the line. Your persona is one of unflappable competence and logical control. You appear to be a master of your emotions, navigating the world with a sense of duty and unwavering resolve. People feel safe around you because your mask promises order, protection, and certainty in an uncertain world. It communicates that you have everything under control, that you've foreseen the dangers, and that you will not break. This persona isn't a conscious deception. It often arises from a deep, instinctual need. In Jungian terms, this taps into the archetypal energy of what we could call a guardian or the sentinel. An archetype is a universal pattern, or symbol residing in the collective unconscious, a part of our psyche shared by all of humanity. The guardian archetype often emerges in individuals who perceive the world, or their own inner life, as fundamentally chaotic or unsafe. Your persona became a necessary fortress, a set of walls you built brick by brick to impose order on a disorderly reality. You likely learned early on that being the strong one was not only praised but essential for survival. Perhaps you were the eldest child, a leader in your community, or simply someone who felt the weight of others' well-being on your shoulders. Your mask is one of immense responsibility, forged in the fires of necessity. You don't just play the role of the protector. On a deep level, you believe that if you ever let that role slip, everything would fall apart. This persona is a shield, not just for others, but for yourself against the terrifying prospect of powerlessness. But here is the first secret your mask reveals, the truth hidden behind that stone facade. The primary function of this impenetrable armor is to conceal profound and often overwhelming sensitivity. What you fear most about yourself is vulnerability. Behind the stoic expression lies a vast, uncharted territory of deep feeling, a capacity for empathy, pain, and emotional depth that you perceive as a catastrophic weakness. This hidden part of you is what Jung called the shadow. It's where you keep all the traits you've deemed unacceptable for the role of the guardian. All the tears you refuse to cry, the fears you wouldn't acknowledge, the times you needed help but refused to ask, they all live in your shadow. Jung warned that the more we identify with our persona, the more we repress our shadow, and the blacker and denser it is. For you, this means the armor you wear isn't just keeping the world out. It's keeping your own heart locked in. The repression of this sensitivity can lead to a state of emotional numbness, a disconnection from your own inner life. You might find it difficult to feel joy, passion, or spontaneous delight. Or, more dangerously, the pressure can build until the armor cracks, leading to sudden, inexplicable outbursts of anger or despair that seem to come from nowhere. These are not signs of weakness. They are the desperate cries of your shadow self, begging to be seen. By denying your vulnerability, you trap yourself in a fortress of your own making. The second secret your mask reveals is your deep desire for acceptance and belonging. The guardian persona is a strategy to ensure you are indispensable. Your unconscious bargain with the world is this: if I am the strongest, if I am the most reliable, then I can't be abandoned. I will be needed, and therefore I will be secure. This is your mask speaking the language of collective unconscious, fulfilling the timeless archetype of the protector, the leader, the parent figure. Your worth becomes deeply entangled with what you do for others. The fear of not being needed is, for you, a fear of ceasing to exist in a meaningful way. The journey toward wholeness, what Jung called individuation, isn't about destroying the mask. The world needs guardians. Your strength is real. Your reliability is a gift. But true, integrated strength doesn't deny its opposite. The goal, as Jung wrote, is to divest the self of the false wrappings of the persona. This means you must begin the courageous work of acknowledging the sensitivity beneath the armor. So, what's the way forward? Start by practicing control vulnerability. Choose one person you trust, a partner, a close friend, a therapist, and share a small fear or a moment of uncertainty. You'll notice the world doesn't end. In fact, it might lead to a deeper, more authentic connection. Learn to ask for help, not as a sign of failure, but as an act of trust. And finally, begin to reframe your sensitivity not as a liability, but as the source of your greatest strengths. Your empathy, your intuition, and your capacity for profound connection. True strength isn't the absence of feeling. It is the courage to feel it all and remain standing. The goal isn't to shatter the mask, but to learn to take it off when you're home. Section 2. The Performer Mask. If your intuition guided you to perform a mask, the one that is ornate, vibrant, and fixed in a dazzling smile, you are an individual who presents a charismatic, confident, and endlessly engaging face to the world. You're the life of the party, the magnetic storyteller, the social chameleon who can effortlessly navigate any room. Your persona is built on a foundation of charm and likability. You project an aura of effortless success, boundless optimism, and infectious energy. People are drawn to you, captivated by your wit and your seemingly bottomless well of social grace. You're a master of first impressions, and your presence can light up a room. When you wear this mask, the world feels like a stage, and you are its beloved star, basking in the warm glow of applause and admiration. This captivating performance is rooted in a powerful archetypal force. In Jungian terms, this persona taps into the archetypal energy of what we might call the entertainer or the charmer. It's a persona driven by the fundamental human need for connection and, crucially, for external validation. You learned, perhaps at a very young age, that being liked was a powerful form of currency. Approval, laughter, and attention weren't just pleasant. They were signals of safety and acceptance. Your persona became your primary tool for securing these vital resources. You developed an exquisite sensitivity to social cues, learning to read an audience and adapt your performance to meet their expectations. Whether it was being the funny one, the charming one, or the impressive one, you discover a role that guaranteed you a place in the spotlight and, by extension, a place in the group. This persona thrives on interaction, and its greatest fear is an empty theater. But this brings us to the first and most profound secret your mask is hiding. Behind the glittering facade of the performer lies a deep and terrifying fear of being alone, disliked, or ultimately insignificant. The shadow self that corresponds to your persona is one defined by a profound sense of inner emptiness and a haunting loneliness that is only temporarily silenced by the noise of external admiration. You fear that if performance stops, if the applause fades, there will be nothing left. Your greatest dread is that the mask isn't just a mask, but that it's all there is. The secret this persona hides is a belief that your authentic, unadorned self isn't enough to hold anyone's interest or love. As Jung noted, the persona is a compromise between the individual and society. For you, the compromise has been to trade authenticity for adoration. This constant performance is psychologically exhausting. The energy required to maintain this mask is immense, and the moments when you're alone can be crushing. When the audience leaves and the house lights come up, you may be faced with a disquieting silence, a void that the next social engagement can't come soon enough to fill. The repression of this shadow loneliness can manifest as a frantic need to stay busy, an inability to say no to social invitations, or a deep-seated anxiety that festers beneath the smiling surface. It is a fear that without your audience, you will disappear. You may find yourself constantly checking your phone, measuring your worth in likes and comments, seeking any reflection that proves you still exist and are still seen. The second secret your mask reveals is the true nature of your desire for belonging. The performer seeks acceptance not through genuine intimacy, but through widespread likability. The unconscious drive is, if I can make everyone like me, if I can charm every room, then I will be safe from the pain of rejection and the terror of being abandoned. It's a strategy of breadth over depth. You might have hundreds of acquaintances, but very few people who have seen you without your makeup on, both literally and metaphorically. Your mask fulfills the social archetype of the connector or the socialite, the person who keeps the fabric of the group woven together. However, this belonging is fragile because it is conditional on the continuation of the performance. You may secretly question whether people love you or whether they simply love the show you put on. The path toward individuation, toward becoming a whole person, begins with a terrifying but liberating act of stepping off the stage. This doesn't mean abandoning your natural charisma or your love of people. Those are genuine gifts. It means finding the courage to be with yourself without an audience. Here is your first step toward integration. Begin by consciously making friends with your own solitude. Schedule small, non-negotiable pockets of time to be alone, without the distraction of your phone or TV. It will be uncomfortable at first. The silence will feel deafening. But as Jung taught, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Sit with the discomfort. Let the feelings of loneliness or boredom arise without immediately trying to fix them or run away. Next, find hobbies or passions that bring you intrinsic joy, things you would do even if no one ever knew you were doing them. This could be painting, hiking, learning an instrument, or writing in a journal. This is a practice of self-validation, of finding your worth within, rather than seeking it from without. Ask yourself the brave question, who am I when no one is watching? And then begin the slow, rewarding process of getting to know and learning to love that person. True connection doesn't require a flawless performance. It requires the vulnerability to let someone see the person behind the mask. Your journey is to realize that you are worthy of love even when you are not performing. Section 3. The Sage Mask. If you found yourself drawn to the sage mask, the one that appears ancient, weathered, and etched with the lines of profound thought, you are someone who projects an image of wisdom, objectivity, and intellectual prowess. You are the voice of reason in a world of emotional chaos. People see you as the analyst, the strategist, the calm observer who can detach from a situation and see it with piercing clarity. Your persona is one of quiet authority, built not on force, but on knowledge. You speak with precision. You value logic above all else, and you have a gift for breaking down complex problems. Others turn to you for advice, not for a shoulder to cry on, but for a clear-eyed assessment and a rational solution. Your mask communicates a sense of intellectual superiority and unshakable emotional control. It suggests that you are above the messy, unpredictable fray of human feeling, operating on a higher plane of understanding. This persona is deeply connected to one of humanity's most revered archetypes, the sage, or what Jung often called a wise old man. The sage archetype is driven by a quest for truth, knowledge, and understanding. Your persona likely developed as a powerful defense mechanism. By seeking to understand the world, you seek to control it. You operate from the belief that if something can be named, categorized, and explained, it can no longer be truly threatening. Knowledge becomes your shield and logic your sword. Perhaps you grew up in an environment that was emotionally volatile or unpredictable, and retreating into the world of books and ideas was your sanctuary. You learned that emotions were dangerous and unreliable, while facts were safe and constant. Your persona is a testament to the power of the human mind to create order out of chaos. However, this brings us to the first crucial secret your mask is hiding. Behind the serene and knowing facade of the sage lies a deep and abiding fear of the unknown, the irrational, and the uncontrollably messy nature of life itself. The shadow that lurks behind your persona is filled with everything that cannot be neatly placed into a logical framework: raw intuition, spontaneous creativity, and a profound mystery of human connection. You fear being wrong. You fear being seen as foolish, ignorant, or, worst of all, out of control. Your massive intellectual detachment is a defense against the terror of not knowing. This is why Jung described the shadow as the thing a person has no wish to be. For you, this is the unknowing person. This over-identification with the sage persona can lead to what's known as analysis paralysis. You may find yourself so busy thinking about life that you forget to actually live it. You might struggle to make decisions without having all the data, which is rarely possible. More significantly, it can create a cold detachment from genuine human experience. You might understand the psychology of love, but struggle to feel it. You might be able to explain the neurochemistry of grief, but be unable to comfort a grieving friend or even yourself. As Jung warned, an over-identification with a persona can lead to a shallow personality, overly concerned with appearing a certain way rather than truly being. Your shadow contains your humanity, the messy, beautiful, illogical parts that make life worth living. Repressing it means living in a sterile black and white world, while your shadow holds the vibrant colors of your soul. The second secret your mask reveals is your fundamental desire for belonging through intellectual validation. Your persona operates on an unconscious premise. If I am the smartest, most knowledgeable person in the room, then my insights will be valued and I will have a secure place. My intellect will earn my seat at the table. You seek acceptance by becoming a vital resource of information and reason. You fulfill the social archetype of the advisor, the teacher, the philosopher king. The danger here is that your sense of self-worth becomes entirely dependent on being right. When you're confronted with a situation that defies logic or a person who challenges your intellectual authority, it can feel like a threat to your very identity. Your journey of individuation, of becoming whole, isn't to abandon your brilliant mind, but to invite your heart to the conversation. Your intellect is a superpower, but it is only one part of you. Here's your path to integration. Start by consciously stepping into the realm of the unknown. Try an activity that has no goal of mastery or intellectual understanding. Take a class in abstract painting, improvisational theater, or just dance in your living room. Do something purely for the sensation of it, and resist the urge to analyze it. Let it be messy. Let it be imperfect. Next, practice listening to your intuition. This is a voice of your unconscious, and it speaks in feelings, images, and gut reactions, not in logical proofs. When faced with small decision, instead of making a pro and con list, quiet your mind for a moment and ask your body what it feels. Does one option feel expansive and light, while the other feels constricting and heavy? Start small and learn to trust that quiet, inner knowing. As Jung suggested, we must come to terms with the unconscious components of our personality. For you, this means honoring the wisdom of your feelings as much as you honor the wisdom of your thoughts. True wisdom isn't just the accumulation of knowledge. It is the integration of mind and heart. Your path is to realize that the greatest truths in life are not just understood, they are felt. Section 4. The Rebel Mask. If you were drawn to the rebel mask, the one that appears fractured, defiant, and scrawled with the marks of chaos, you are an individual who projects an image of fierce independence, provocative nonconformity, and an unwavering refusal to be controlled. You are the iconoclast, the rule breaker, the one who questions authority and challenges the status quo at every turn. Your persona is a declaration of war against convention. You appear fearless in your opposition, clad in an armor of cynicism and disdain for the sheep who follow the beaten path. People see you as daring, authentic, and perhaps a little dangerous. Your mask is a symbol of liberation for some and a sign of trouble for others, but it is never, ever ignored. You pride yourself on your individuality and your refusal to be categorized or tamed. This persona is born from the powerful archetypal energy of the rebel or the outlaw. This archetype emerges not to destroy society, but to keep it from stagnating. It is a necessary force that shatters old, decaying structures to make way for the new. However, when this energy becomes a foundation of a persona, it takes on a specific psychological function. Your persona defines itself not by what it is, but by what it is not. It is a constant reactive push against the collective. You likely developed this mask in response to an environment that felt overly controlling, stifling, or inauthentic. Perhaps you felt misunderstood or unseen, and rebellion became the only way to carve out a space for your own identity. By breaking the rules, you felt you could create your own. Your very identity became fused with the act of opposition. The problem is, a persona based on reaction isn't true freedom. It's simply a different kind of prison, where the bars are built by the very system you're trying to escape. This leads directly to the first and most paradoxical secret your mask reveals. Behind the defiant sneer of the rebel lies a profound fear of being invisible, insignificant, and ordinary. And even more deeply hidden is a desperate, paradoxical desire to belong. The shadow self of the rebel is a part of you that secretly craves acceptance, validation, and understanding, often from the very figures or systems you publicly reject. Your mask fears that if you were to stop fighting, you would discover that you have no identity at all. You would simply blend into the crowd you so vehemently despise. The rebellion itself has become your identity, and the thought of existing without it is terrifying. As Jung said, everyone carries a shadow, and unless it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. For you, this shadow is a conformist within, the part of you that just wants to be accepted and loved without having to fight for it. This constant state of opposition is draining. It requires a tremendous amount of energy to always be against something. It can lead to bitterness, isolation, and inability to form lasting, peaceful connections. You may find yourself sabotaging relationships or opportunities because they feel too mainstream, or because you fear that accepting them would be a form of selling out. Your shadow, in its desperation for connection, might leak out in surprising ways: a secret love for pop music, a quiet admiration for a stable family life, or a moment of intense loneliness after pushing everyone away. The second secret your mask reveals is the complex nature of your search for belonging. The rebel doesn't seek acceptance from the mainstream. That would be a betrayal of persona. Instead, you seek acceptance from a counterculture, a tribe of fellow outsiders. Your belonging is found in a shared rejection of the norm. Your unconscious drive is, if I am different enough, if I am more radical than anyone else, then I will be seen as special. I will find my tribe among the other special ones. But Jung might argue that this is still playing a role for collective. It's just a different, smaller collective. You've simply traded one set of expectations for another. The pressure to be anti-establishment can be just as rigid and demanding as the pressure to conform. The journey toward individuation for the rebel is about discovering who you are when you're not in reaction mode. It's about moving from a state of freedom to a state of freedom to, this is your path to integration. Your task is to begin defining yourself by what you genuinely love, value, and believe in, not just by what you oppose. Start a private journal and explore your own authentic values, completely independent of what society or your counterculture group thinks. What truly brings you joy? What kind of world do you want to build, not just tear down? Next, practice the art of selective engagement. Realize that true independence isn't about constant, indiscriminate opposition, but about authentic choice. You can choose to participate in some conventional things that you genuinely enjoy without it compromising your identity. Enjoying a popular movie doesn't make you a sellout. Wanting a stable relationship doesn't make you weak. The goal is to dismantle the rigid dichotomy of us versus them that lives in your mind. Your critical eye and your courage to question things are immense gifts. The world needs rebels to challenge its complacency. But your next stage of growth is to learn to wield that rebellious fire not as a wildfire that burns everything down, but as a focused torch that can light a new and authentic path, one that is truly uniquely your own. Section 5. The Jester Mask. If you are the one drawn to the Jester Mask, the one with a dual expression, half laughing and half crying, you're someone who navigates the world through a shield of humor, wit, and self-deprecation. You are the class clown, the quick-witted friend, the colleague who can always be counted on to diffuse a tense meeting with a perfectly timed joke. Your persona is one of relentless lightheartedness. You project an aura of carefree fun, suggesting that nothing is ever serious enough to warrant real distress. You use comedy to build bridges, to entertain, and most importantly, to keep difficult emotions at a comfortable distance. People love being around you because you make them laugh and feel at ease. Your mask is a brilliant deflection device, protecting both you and others from the discomfort of raw, unfiltered reality. This persona taps into the ancient and vital archetype of the jester, or what Jung often called a trickster. The jester's role in the royal court was unique. He was the only one who could speak truth to the king without losing his head, as long as he did it in a joke. Your persona has adopted this powerful strategy. You use humor as both a sword and a shield. It's a sword to point out uncomfortable truths in a non-threatening way. But more often, it's a shield designed to prevent anyone, including yourself, from getting too close to your own authentic feelings. You may have learned early in life that humor was a brilliant survival mechanism. It could de-escalate conflict when you're friends and make you the center of positive attention. Being funny became your identity, the role you played that kept you safe. This brings us to the profound and poignant secret your mask is hiding. Behind the constant laughter and the endless stream of jokes lies a deep and often completely unacknowledged reservoir of sadness, pain, or even trauma. The shadow of the jester is one of profound grief. You live by the unconscious rule that seriousness is dangerous. You fear that if you ever stop laughing, you will start crying, and if you start crying, you may never be able to stop. This is why Jung described the shadow as containing the inferior and guilt-laden parts of our personality. For you, sincere emotion, especially your own sorrow, is seen as inferior, burdensome, and something to be hidden at all costs. This identification with the jester persona creates a deep split within your psyche. On the surface, you are the epitome of fun, but underneath, the unexpressed sadness can fester, leading to a persistent feeling of emptiness, chronic anxiety, or even bouts of depression that feel completely at odds with the person you pretend to be. As Jung famously stated, there's no coming to consciousness without pain. Your persona is an elaborate and masterful strategy for avoiding that pain. You might use self-deprecating humor as a way to beat others to the punch, criticizing yourself before they can. Or you may feel an intense pressure to always be on, feeling that your presence is only welcome as long as you're providing comic relief. The second secret your mask reveals is your deep-seated desire for belonging through being entertaining and, crucially, non-threatening. Your unconscious bargain is, if I can make people laugh, they will enjoy my company. If I keep everything light, they won't burden me with their problems, and more importantly, they won't look too closely at mine. You secure your place in a group by becoming its emotional regulator, the one who ensures that things never get too heavy. You fulfill the archetype of the mood lifter, the social glue. The tragedy of this position is that it can lead to incredibly lonely relationships. People may feel close to the character you play, but very few, if any, know the real you. You are surrounded by laughter, yet you may feel profoundly unseen. Your journey toward individuation is about finding the courage to believe that you are worthy of connection, even when you're not being funny. Your humor is a brilliant gift, but it isn't the totality of who you are. Here's your actionable path to integration. Begin by allowing yourself small, safe moments of seriousness. You don't have to confess your deepest trauma over dinner. Start by simply not making a joke. When someone asks how you are, resist the urge to give a witty, deflective answer. Try offering a simple, honest one, like, "I'm a bit tired today." Notice that the world doesn't crumble. The next, more courageous step is to find a trusted friend, partner, or therapist, someone who has earned the right to see behind a mask, and share one small thing that you're genuinely struggling with. Let them see a crack in the facade. This is how you begin to dismantle the belief that your pain is a burden. You will likely discover that true intimacy is forged not in shared laughter, but in shared vulnerability. Finally, practice self-compassion. Understand that your sadness is not a flaw. It's a part of your humanity. It is the other half of the mask you chose. As Jung implied, you cannot have a noble tree that disowns its dark roots. Your path to wholeness is to learn that your tears are just as valuable as your laughter. It is only by embracing both that you can finally become not just a jester, but the whole, complete person you were always meant to be. Conclusion. Whether you chose the steadfast guardian, the dazzling performer, the wise sage, the defiant rebel, or the witty jester, remember this one fundamental truth. The mask you chose is not who you are. It's a role you have learned to play. It is a sophisticated, intelligent strategy your psyche developed to navigate the world, to gain acceptance, and protect you from what it perceived as danger. But it's only one part of your story. And this brings us to the third and final secret that your mask reveals about you. The very act of wearing a mask, and now, your awareness of it, reveals your immense potential for growth. The mask is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is a map that points directly to where you are out of alignment with your true self. It shows you what you fear, what you desire, and therefore, what you must integrate to become whole. This journey of integration is what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming an individual, a whole, undivided human being. In his powerful words, the aim of individuation is nothing less than to divest the self of the false wrappings of the persona on the one hand, and of the suggestive power of primordial images on the other. So, how do you begin this journey? First, just observe. Notice when you feel most inauthentic, emotionally exhausted, or restless. These feelings are not a problem to be solved. They are signals to be heard. Second, get curious about your fears. What are you most afraid to show the world? Your answer points directly to the heart of your shadow. And as Jung taught, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Third, reflect on your desires. What were you trying to achieve with your mask? Acceptance? Safety? Validation? Understanding this reveals your deepest needs, and you can now begin to find healthier, more authentic ways to meet them. And finally, gently embrace discomfort. In safe environments, allow the mask to slip. Share an honest feeling. Admit you don't have the answer. Let someone see your vulnerability. This is how the process begins. True self-awareness isn't about destroying your persona. You will always need a way to interface with the world. Instead, it's about integrating the face you show the world with the person you are underneath, uniting your conscious self with your unconscious shadow. Your persona is a tool, not a cage. The goal is to wear it consciously, to be able to pick it up and put it down at will, knowing that your true, authentic self is always there, waiting with all its beautiful, messy, and magnificent complexity. If you are ready to continue this journey, make sure to subscribe and click the bell for more deep dives into the psychology of who you are. And now, for one final act of courage. If you're brave enough, share this video with a friend and see what mask they choose. You might be surprised by what you learn about them and about yourself in the process.